It was just past 11 p.m. when Emily locked up her tiny bookstore on a quiet street in downtown Vancouver. The rain had stopped, but the cold lingered, and the distant hum of traffic filled the silence. She wrapped her scarf tighter around her neck, clutched her tote bag close, and started walking toward the bus stop. Her long day was finally over, and all she wanted was to get home, crawl under a warm blanket, and forget how empty her apartment felt since her mother passed away last year. She didn't notice the man trailing her at first, but as she crossed the street and neared the dimly lit corner near the alleyway, she heard slow, uneven footsteps behind her. Then a slurred voice, "Hey, wait up." She turned slightly and saw a man, clearly drunk, stumbling toward her with unfocused eyes. Her heart jumped. She quickened her pace. "Don't walk away from me," he called out, louder this time. Emily's breath caught. She picked up her pace, but before she could react, he lunged forward and grabbed her arm, yanking her back with surprising force. "Hey, let me go," she cried, panic rising in her chest. Her bag dropped to the ground. Her heart pounded against her ribs like a warning drum. The man reeked of alcohol, his grip tightening as he mumbled incoherent things. People passed on the other side of the street, but no one looked. No one stopped. Until someone did. "Let her go." The voice was calm but strong, deep and clear. The drunk man turned his head, confused. That's when Emily saw him. A tall man, early 30s, wearing a hoodie and jeans, pushing a stroller. A little girl, maybe 5 years old, peeked from under a pink blanket, clutching a stuffed bear. The man stepped closer, gaze locked onto the drunk like he'd faced worse before. His hands clenched into fists. "I said," he repeated, "let her go." The drunk man scoffed. "What's it to you?" "I'm a dad," he said firmly, "and my daughter doesn't need to see you hurt someone tonight." Something about those words, the calm warning, the presence of a child, the look in the man's eyes, made the drunk man hesitate. He dropped Emily's arm and staggered back, mumbling curses before stumbling away into the alley. Emily stood frozen, breathing hard, clutching her arm. The stranger stepped forward slowly, now kneeling to pick up her bag. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, handing it to her. She nodded, eyes wide. "I think so. Thank you. You didn't have to." "I did," he interrupted softly. "People walk by, but someone has to stop." The little girl called out from the stroller, "Daddy." He turned, his face softening immediately. "Coming, baby." Emily followed his gaze. She saw everything. "Yeah," he said, sighing. But she also saw someone stand up for someone else. That matters more. Emily felt tears well in her eyes. She had been so alone since her mom died. No family, few friends, a bookstore barely surviving, and a city that often felt too cold to care. But in this one moment, a complete stranger had seen her, had protected her, had made her feel safe. Can I at least buy you a coffee or something?" she asked, managing a shaky smile. He looked at his watch. "Only if they sell hot chocolate too." That's her deal breaker. They ended up at a late-night cafe around the corner. The little girl's name was Sophie. Her father's name was Mark. He was a single dad working 2 jobs, raising Sophie after her mother walked out 3 years ago. He didn't have much, but what he had, he gave to that little girl. He told Emily he was just walking her to sleep when he saw her being grabbed. They talked for hours about parenting, loneliness, grief, and the quiet strength it takes to keep going. Emily hadn't laughed that much in months. Sophie even fell asleep in her arms while Mark sipped his coffee with a tired smile. When they said goodbye, he gave her a quiet nod. "Stay safe, Emily." She nodded. "You too, Mark." She watched them walk off into the cold night, father pushing stroller, daughter snuggled in safety, love holding them both together like an invisible thread. Emily returned to her apartment that night and cried, not out of fear, but out of a strange, overwhelming hope. She realized the world wasn't as cold as she thought. Sometimes, kindness showed up without warning. Sometimes, the people who had the least to give gave the most. And sometimes, a single dad pushing a stroller could become the quiet hero in someone else's darkest moment. In the end, it wasn't just about stopping a drunk man. It was about reminding someone they mattered. And that made all the difference.